All right, welcome back to Rust Hoarder Garage and another update on the 55 Buick. So with the engine in, now it's all just kind of, work. Just stuff to do. One thing I did off camera, I just attached my coolant gauge, temp gauge. Just tied that in where I originally tapped that for 3/8 pipe. That worked out sweet. No problems there. That's all I pretty much have done so far, other than routed a couple wires. Next thing I'm going to do is the hot side. So we'll get the manifolds, or rather the headers, bolted up and see what it looks like. So if you have been following this project, you'll remember I had bought a pair of stainless turbo headers from Marketplace because it was cheap. And then I ended up having to buy another pair of headers just to get a good driver side header to use, because the one that came with this kit was kind of ridiculous, didn't make much sense. So I basically bought two sets of headers to make two pairs of headers, but one piece from each side. So I'm going to bolt these up, maybe not for the parental time, but at least bolt them up to start getting the hot side done and see what it looks like. Normally I use Proform wedge lock header bolts. They are the best, and they are the only things I found that don't loosen up. But because I figured with the weight of the turbo, hanging on the header there, I thought maybe it'd be better to have studs into the heads. I don't know. I bought these eBay studs, which are too long, so I'll have to cut them down. I don't even remember how many millimeters these are, but they're too long. But I can thread them in, hang the manifolds on there, and at least get the manifolds off and on a few times without risking screwing up the threads in the head. So I'm going to use these at least temporarily now to bolt up these headers, and then we'll get under the car and see what it looks like, and then probably be taking things back off to do modifications. And there we go, manifolds bolted up. They look neat. I'm going to have to see what the spark plug situation is like on this side. I know that for sure. But one thing I do know is that LT1 spark plug wires have the same ends as LS1. So I got plenty of LT1 spark plug wires to try out if I have to. This side, I think plug wires won't be as big a deal. Can already see. Got to get under the car and see what kind of modifications can be done for the crossover, but that'll be tomorrow. It's getting late today and it's raining now, so it's kind of noisy in here for videoing, but I think it's time for dinner anyway, so we'll stop for the moment and come back maybe tomorrow. Well, 4 hours or so later, not straight, I had to do other things too, but this side of the hot side is done. Not the most beautiful welds, but they're not going to leak and they're strong, so good enough for me. This was quite the fiasco because, as you can see, I put a flange on here, which is cut off of an LS exhaust manifold. That was no big deal. The big deal was I was out of acetylene, and I like to heat these nuts up before I take them off. And because I didn't have the acetylene, I had to just close my eyes and hit him with the gun, and one stud broke off. And let's just say it was an absolute nightmare to repair that, just because it wasn't coming out. So I ended up having to drill it out and retap it and replace the stud and yada yada, just an hour or so's work that just wasn't planned. But it's in there now and it works. And it had an O2 bung here. I left it on. I don't think I'm going to use it, so I jammed a broken oxygen sensor in there to plug it for now. But it took a little bit to lay it out just because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of clearance for everything. Clearance around the starter's good. I can get to all three of the studs, no problem. To take it apart, that works out great. And yeah, so that's the first part. So the next section will be over here. I got to connect this side to this side, And I don't know. I'll probably end up having to cut this flange off completely and then angle a pipe down this way. And I don't know if I have the other half of this, but either way, somewhere in here I got to put another flange. Maybe I'll just cut it off of another manifold just to make it so I can remove the crossover pipe without any grief to take the system apart. All right, well, let's get on to the next piece. All right, so to start on this connection from here to here, first thing is going to be, I think we'll just hack off these flanges. Cut this off and cut this off, because if I kept this flange here, that would make this header really kind of funky looking there with a big piece hanging off of it. So I think I'll just make the coupling piece in the middle there. I'll try to use an exhaust manifold again, same way I did on the other side. Little carbide bit work just to clean them up. All right, bolt them up. See what's next. All right, I'm going to take this flange to use on the crossover pipe. But first I'm going to do what I couldn't do yesterday and heat these nuts up before I try to remove them so I don't break a stud and waste lots of time like I did yesterday. So, we'll see how it goes. Right off of there, just like it should be. And we'll get the other two done. Nice and easy. A little bit of heat does wonders. in progress. And there is a minimal, no measuring going on here. This is strictly by eye and literally finding pieces of exhaust pieces cutter laying around. Like that 45 piece there, that's not measured. I just cut it. This elbow here is just something I had cut off of a tailpipe. I just, you know, hold stuff up here and try to make it work. So it looks like if I do that, this will come down. Get the right angle on it. I can get these two to line up, and yeah, I think it's going to work. Make a filler piece for there. I have my coupler in the middle where my hand is and you can't see. O2 bung is up, which is important for keeping moisture off of them, and I made sure I can actually get to it to put the O2 in. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep cutting and tacking. And there is the crazy turbo header. Just threw some black paint on it to keep the welds from rusting immediately. And as crazy curved as that is, actually goes in and out okay. Not a problem. The studs are the biggest pain in the butt putting it in and out, and that's all right. And that side you already saw. And the Y pipe is over here. It's all welded up. Paint on the wells, just keep them from rusting right now. They may rust later, but we'll see. So let me get that bolted in, and that will be it for the hot side. I'll show you what it looks like. Well, I thought I was done with the hot side, but I realized I need a narrowband O2 sensor for the passenger side. And there's no thing on it. There's nothing on it, and there's no way you can put it in the Y pipe. Otherwise, it'll read gases from both sides. So the best I can come up with, I'm going to put it right here in the bottom of the header for the passenger side narrowband. And I think I'm just going to cut that O2 bung right out of that collector that I had plugged off, re-weld it into the header there. And then I think I'll be done with the hot side. All right, it's done. Quick and dirty. O2 is now, I can't even tell if I can see it. I can see it, but can you see it? There, it's up there in the header now. That's the kind of work you get when it's nighttime. You're done for the day, and you're like, oh man, this is great. Hot side is all done. You're like, oh man, that's not gonna work. And then you gotta tell the wife, hey, I'm just going out to the garage for a few minutes and blitzkrieg this thing as quickly as possible. I think I did okay on time, but yeah. All right, so now we have O2 sensor holes or bungs where they need to be for the narrowband O2s, and that is it. Finally, now, for hot side is done. Okay. See you on the next video, and hopefully it won't be as hectic.